Welcome to the Black Belt Business Podcast. My name is Matthew Brenner, and today I'm with Jason Flame. What's up?
Here we are, and we're finally on. We got it.
We had a lot of technical difficulties, but finally we got on here. And Jason, you've probably seen his podcast before. He's interviewed basically everyone in the martial arts industry, including myself. So I'm excited to finally have him on my show, which is really, really exciting. I know when we first talked a while ago, when I was on your show, and then I eventually made mine, I said, hey, I don't want to have anyone remote as a guest. I want all people in person. So for a while, I only did people that were either traveling in the area or people that lived somewhat nearby, and I had them come into a studio. But eventually I switched over just so I could have more opportunity for people and started doing remote. So thanks for coming on here today, and I'm excited to talk to you because not many people have talked to more people in the martial arts industry than you have.
Yeah. I've had a great time hosting a podcast where I get to talk to people, just all over the world, really. And when you're talking shop and you're talking martial arts, like it's an easy conversation for sure.
I have a question. Is there a brighter light you can put on?
Let's see if I can. Is that too bright?
No, I think it's better. All right, cool.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, so by the way, so all this part that I'm talking in right now, later, I'm going to highlight the words that's on here. I'm going to hit backspace, and it's going to be like it never happened in like a second. It's amazing.
Beautiful.
So you've talked to a lot of different martial arts school owners and operators and also just martial arts athletes. What are the biggest differences that you see between the ones that are financially successful, that have really like thriving schools, and the ones that are maybe just okay?
Yeah, it's interesting because I talk to so many different school owners and different martial artists. And I think really at the end of the day, too, you have to figure out what does someone really define as being successful? Is that the dollars? Is it the number of students they have? Is it their independence and just the security of having extra time? So when I talk to different school owners, it's always different. And I hear just a lot of talk in the martial arts industry now, probably more so than ever. And it seems like there's a lot of people talking about the dollars and not a lot of people talking about the people in their school. And for me, I really consider the success of my school based on the success of my students in the school, the success of the people that work in our school. And I think when you put people first, to get back to the original question, when you put the people first, then I think that you're going to see that those people are the most successful.
Well, I do feel like, yes, you want to focus on your students first, like customer always comes first. And if you do that, your business will do great. At the same time, as business owners, it's the only common objective measuring stick that you can use between the two, right? It's like, okay, well, what is your gross revenues and what is your profit margin? Or how many locations do you have and what is your revenue across those? So, I mean, I totally understand what you're saying, but I think also it's good to have both because, like any industry, whether not just martial arts, if you're in real estate, right? It's like, okay, well, how many happy renters do you have? Okay, that matters, okay, because you want to have happy tenants, but you also need to know, like, okay, well, how much revenue is coming in, right? Unless, like, you just do it as a fun project. If you have a martial arts club and you're like, hey, this is really fun, I love it, then kudos to you. That's what you want to do. That's awesome. It's like whatever you want, right? But if your goal is to have like a thriving business and not be shackled by it, then those things are important. You agree with that?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. And, there's a big, huge difference too when you're looking at gross revenue versus, the net income, right. and then you start looking at percentages of payroll and rent and everything else. So a lot of people will tout these huge numbers of gross revenue, but yet their net income, it doesn't really match up, right? So it's all, in my opinion, sometimes those numbers are all fluff so that we look good on the internet, we look good to all our friends, but we might be struggling to make payments because we're so overextended in so many areas.
Yeah, and it's funny because martial arts, when it's like a small business, if you have a martial arts school, the profit margin matters more than if you're, let's say, like Uber, right? Or certain tech companies, really what matters is the gross revenue. Because you can sell that company based on gross revenue, even if it's not super profitable, right? Uber could be not profitable for 10 years, but be worth $5 billion, right? And if they wanted to, they could sell it for that amount or a smaller amount, whatever, even if it's not necessarily profitable yet, right? Because of all the information they have. But for
Right.
us, like, no one's coming to buy a martial arts school for, at least one school for millions of dollars, right? So, um, we're very, very, very unlikely, right? So I
Hmm.
don't know anyone that's done that personally. I've never,
Right.
obviously there's people that sell a whole franchise package or sell many locations, but you're not just gonna get some venture capitalists to come in and offer you, 10 times gross revenue for the year or something like that,
Hmm. Hmm.
or 20 or 50 times that might be that you might get with like a tech company.
Sure.
So now that you've interviewed a lot of martial arts school owners and just like, how many episodes have you done?
Wow. I think we're just right over 230.
230. Okay, cool. And
And
it's just
they're not all martial artists, by the way. A lot of my interviews have included professional wrestlers and local business owners and local dignitaries in my area as well. So it's spread out. The original idea was that it was going to be all martial artists, but that's a very niche group of people, and I wanted to spread out and include a lot more.
Mm. So, what things have you learned talking to podcast guests that maybe you wouldn't have learned just having conversations or just in your daily life or reading?
Yeah, I've been in the martial arts industry since I opened my school in 94. Well, I opened the first program in 94 and a school in 96. So been in business a long time. And for the first 10 years of that, really just like doing what my instructor did, right? It's just, I saw what he did and had some success. So I just kind of mimicked and copied that success. And then over the next 10 years after that, I got involved with, having a consultant and having someone that was able to kind of steer me in a different direction. And then I spent 10 more years really honing that craft. And so in this, after 30 years of experience being in the martial arts industry, listening to how different everybody is still doing things. I mean, there's not just one way to run a martial arts school. I mean, you have schools that are highly successful that run their programs based on programs or contracts. You have so many schools that are successful on doing, month to month and no contracts, no programs per se. And who's to say that one way is better than the other? So the answer to your question is there's more than one way to be successful in the martial arts industry. And it's everything from people being involved in their community, which I take great pride. That's where our school really grows. And we've seen the biggest difference in our business by being engaged in our community. And then, you have some that have become part of a franchise or part of a group of schools. And that kind of team camaraderie has helped catapult them. I think at the end of the day, too, it's all about who you surround yourself with. Your success is based upon who you surround yourself with. But man, I've learned so many different things from the Chip Townsends to the Dave Kovars to the Brandon Belisos to the Mike Metzgers. And, they're all, some of them so very polarizing opposites in a lot of ways.
If you could go back, and what do you feel like was the most impactful advice you received from one of the coaches or clients you hired or
Oh,
consultants you hired?
by far, the most impactful thing that I learned, that if I could go back in the first 10 years of business when I had no idea what I was doing, was just having so much more structure to our pricing, our class schedule, and how the programs were put together. We were a very kind of mishmash school, and teaching kind of a little bit of everything. But when we were able to develop solid programs that really had a solid value to each one of the programs and the purpose of each one of those programs, that was kind of the biggest thing, because my biggest thing starting out was, our biggest marketing technique was satellite schools and going to the different parks and recs. I think at one time I had 20 different locations that we were teaching off-site martial arts. And all our marketing was banked on that, of the fact that those students would graduate from those programs and come over to the school. And that was a lot of legwork, because it was either me all over the place, or my instructors being sent out to teach these programs to try to pull people in. So that was kind of a big switch. We went from all of that being the focus to now having a very structured program.
Do you still do a lot of satellite programs, or do you
We
focus in the
do
core?
we do one. I
You
have
do what? Okay.
the very first location that in 1994 I started my martial arts school by teaching at the rec center, and after we built up enough students to pay the first month's rent in a school, but to this day we still actually teach at that location, and really it's a service to our community, and it helps. Keep the relationship with our city officials and everybody here in our community.
Yeah, I think that one obviously is going to pay dividends. And whenever I get someone who wants to grow their school, who comes to me for coaching or consulting, and they're doing lots of different other programs, I'll say, okay, how many of those people have converted to members of your
Mm-hmm.
school? And most of the time, they'll get some here and there, but it's not like a constant flow. So I go,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, what you're doing is you're just spreading out your resources thin across a lot of different
Yep.
places. And it's good you're doing those things. You should, but they should all be funneling into your core program. So you don't have to always go out and spread your tentacles as far as you can. And then like,
Mm-hmm.
at, you really want as many people in your core program as possible, because how many people can you really help? Or take that back, you can't help a lot of people doing that, but how many people can you impact in a major way if you're just teaching them like once a week or once every other week at like a
Right.
rec center, right?
And
You
and,
need
the,
them
and
really to be members.
Yeah, and the way that we were doing it was that we were pretty much kind of keeping them at these satellite locations, and they would belt up, or there would be some kind of system for them to continue their path in martial arts. But you're right, they were only training like 1 day a week. They weren't really receiving the full benefits of the martial arts, and for the most part, people were comfortable in those locations. I mean, some of those locations were miles and miles away from our school, so it wasn't really a draw to the school. It was just an extension of the school, which wasn't helping the school. But I'll never forget, when I first got involved with a coach, Mr. Mike Metzger, has been my consultant and been my mentor for many, many years. And I'll never forget that we must have signed up, I want to say between 60 and 70 students in our first month, because he's like, hey, look, you need to do a mass intro and just introduce all of these people from the outside into your school and get them into your school and into the system. And like that was a game changer, because we were like probably running at about 100 students or so, and bouncing up and down. But that just gave us this huge shot in the arm to
So
catapult us to the next level.
that's
And
really cool.
that was years ago. That was back in
Yeah.
2000. I want to say 2006.
Okay. And I know a lot of schools still do mass intros. We still do mass intros all the time.
Yep.
And we'll have one that gets 0 people, then we'll do another one that will have 10 people or 15
Mm-hmm.
people enroll. And by the way, when I say enroll, I don't mean like, oh, they're doing a trial. I mean full membership starting right away. They're
Yep.
doing everything, right?
Yep.
Anywhere between 200 and 320 bucks a month. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you still have a school right now?
Yes, sir.
So, how has operating a martial arts school changed when you first started to present day?
A lot. So, in the beginning, I literally, I knew nothing about business. I knew that I loved teaching martial arts and that I wanted that to be my career, but I didn't know how to make it a career. So again, that first 10 years, everything was trial and error. Try this, it would either work or it didn't work. And if it worked, maybe it would work for a little while, then we'd change. And we just kind of kept searching. And then again, the consulting aspect and having a coach and having someone to kind of cut that learning curve in half changed so much for me. But back then, I was the instructor, I was the janitor, I was the everything. And now, to this present day, I find it hard to get on the mat. And what I mean by hard to get on the mat is I have a team of instructors that teaches 95 to 100% of my classes on a daily basis. And I still, because I love martial arts so much, I love to jump in there and teach some of our black belt classes or our leadership classes or instructor training. That's really the biggest difference is I was working so much in the business that I couldn't work on the business. And now I'm working so much on the business, I find it less and less that I'm working in the business, if that makes sense. And I'm grateful for that because I've been able to provide, a handful of great young martial artists with some of them a job and some of them a career, something that they could really look forward to growing with this school and just kind of take it over. I was always afraid of that. When I was a young school owner, I was afraid of letting people take over because I always thought, and this is my ego talking, I always thought that the school was about me and the school was based on my personality and the school wouldn't make it unless it was me teaching all the classes. And quite honestly, I couldn't be further from what is actually happening now, where I'm able to empower a team of students. And I mean, we hire as young as 14 and they'll work with us, until they're 24, 25. A couple of them have still stuck in there, and some of them have taken what they've learned in our school and moved on to other careers and gone off to school and college and everything else. But man, it's just night and day from when I first started doing everything myself to now doing only the things that only I can do.
Hmm. What are some things you don't like doing in the martial arts school that like you're happy to have other people do?
I mean, if I'm being honest, there's nothing in the martial arts school that I don't like to do. I don't mind cleaning the toilets. I don't mind cleaning the bathroom. But why should I spend my time doing that when literally anybody can do that? When I could be spending my time out in the community, meeting with people, making more connections. I want to do what's going to produce the biggest effect and impact in our school. And so I really, there isn't anything that I don't like doing. I mean, I guess if there's anything I don't like doing is paperwork, but I have someone to take care of that, for me. So, yeah, I mean, I've done it all. It's like my dad was in construction, just sidebar, and my dad built custom homes and he would do everything from literally the laying the foundation to digging the trenches and pouring the foundation to the framing to the roofing to the plumbing to the electricity, and I kind of saw that as a young man and knew that my dad didn't have to do all of those things at some point in his career, but he knew how to do them so that he could equip the next group of people to be able to do that, right? So every aspect of the martial arts business I can do and will do, but I'm happy to delegate anything that isn't absolutely necessary for me to do. And I think that helps give me a little bit of independence. It's definitely allowed me to avoid, the burnout of a martial arts school owner, because some school owners have been in business 20, 30, 40 years, and they've been doing the same grind since day one. And I mean, you have to be a really passionate person to not get burnt out and not like need to take a break or want to take a vacation. Like I sometimes don't like to go on vacation because I miss being around the school and being around the energy. I mean, I'm 3 doors down right now as we speak from my karate school. And as I went to get the computer over there, I popped in and I get a chance to just kind of say hi to a bunch of people that maybe I haven't seen in a little bit. And, I love being a part of it as much as I can too.
So how do you get those people from student to full-time employee? Like what's your strategy for that?
Yeah, so we have a pretty solid leadership program that we built over the last 20 years. It's evolved so much, but as students approach the 6th, 7th, 8th grade, that's middle school for us here in California, and I always look at that group of students, 11, 12, 13-year-old students, right? They're not really young kids, but they're not really full-on adults yet, right? So they're kind of stuck in the middle. And I think that a lot of schools find that like they lose their teenagers pretty easy to other sports, to other activities. They don't know where they fit, so they just kind of bounce. And so we developed this leadership program, which we and I'd say that Dave Kovar built up an amazing leadership program through Maya and taught seminars for years. He's come to our school many times, and we've really taken a lot of that to pour into this program. And it's an ongoing quarterly program that as students approach sixth grade, we're recruiting them to join this class. And it starts out with simple things on how to introduce yourself, how to talk to adults, how to talk to children, how to do some of the administrative stuff, take roll and check for stripes on belts and, kind of build them up so that now they start warming up classes. Now they start shadowing students. Now they start leading the warm up. Now they start teaching the class. And it's just this slow, gradual build that from that 11, 12, 13-year-old age, we just kind of build them into the leadership training. And that's where we pull and that's where we hire. With 14 is the youngest we can hire in California. So at 14, they can get a work permit and they can work a few hours a week. They might start with, 2 classes a week, and they're getting paid to teach. And then before you know it, they're helping out with 2 or 3 classes. Now they're helping out with the whole day. Now they're helping with multiple days. Then they start taking over their own day. Then they start, and it's a slow build. I've always found that hiring from within is absolutely the best way. I'm not saying it's the only way, because I have had some success with hiring instructors outside of our school and bringing them in. But there's something to be said about, that 5 or 6-year-old that started in your program, in your Dragons program, has been with you until middle school. Now they're helping out. They're a leadership member and they're getting some exposure to now they're being hired for their first job. There's definitely some built-in loyalty there that goes well beyond any other industry that I've ever seen, right? I mean, we just have this different bond with our employees or our team members in our martial arts school than you would at any other location. And I'm a partner in a restaurant and a partner in an ice cream shop too. So I kind of see how employees, when they don't have that connection, it's strictly employee, employer, here are the guidelines, and that's it. But with our students, there's a deeper attachment. There's a deeper connection. And I think that that's what keeps them for so long.
So what do you think gets them though from okay, obviously there's lots of little steps of part-time, right? Okay, you're 14, you're help out a couple classes and 5 or 6 classes, and maybe they come a little longer. Yep. What's that step from part-time to this is my full-time career now at the school?
Right. Well, I think it's all timing too, because I'm a one school operator, and I don't have any goals of expanding and opening other locations because I've already put my eggs in different baskets, with other business ventures. But as far as the martial arts school, I really have no interest in opening another school, and it's timing, right? The head instructor at my school right now was an assistant instructor during COVID. And so I had a head instructor at that time and several assistant instructors. And this instructor, who is the head instructor now, was delegated the task of teaching online and teaching on Zoom during those years that we went through COVID, right? While the head instructor was teaching some in-person classes or private classes or whatever else we were doing. Well, the head instructor that I had at the time decided that he was going to get married and move and start a family. And so it was literally timing. And so I think, when one door closes, another door opens, my head instructor now, should he decide to move on, I have several instructors right behind him that are willing to fill the spot. So really building the bench is what helps me propel the next person to that next spot. I don't anticipate having the same head instructor for the rest of his life. In my business model, I see this rotation about every 8 to 10 years. And so, man, if I can keep a head instructor for 8 to 10 years and they decide to move on to another career or do something else, they move out of the area, I've got the backup to move someone else into that opportunity. But should the time come that I have someone at that middle, lower to middle level that decides they really want to get eager and we want to open another location, that might change my mind, because I've opened a second location in the past and made the biggest mistake ever, which was trying to, everybody kind of taught here or there, and we were bouncing back and forth, and it was a disaster and really poor timing when we did it anyway. But as for right now, I'm sticking with one school. The head instructor is strong. The assistant instructors are waiting for their opportunity.
I think the important part of that is that you're also looking for people when you're not desperate, right?
Right.
If you're like looking for an instructor when the other one quits, and you're like, oh my God, I'll take anyone who's a warm body to get up there and can talk.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're gonna have someone who's crapping. You're gonna be desperate, right? It's just like dating, right?
Yeah.
Like if that desperation comes off if you're gonna talk to a girl, and
I would have no idea.
options.
I would have no idea about dating. I've been married to my wife since I was like 24 years old. I don't even remember dating.
Obviously you were good at that point. Obviously you're a master at dating because you've got someone for 24 years. So congratulations on that.
Yeah. 25 this year.
25 this year. Wow. Congratulations.
Thanks.
I'm going to ask you a couple rapid fire questions so people
Let's
get to know you personally, because I feel like you interview a lot of other people, and people don't get to ask you questions as often. So I want to ask you,
Okay.
What's one idea that you think the majority of people get wrong about you?
The one thing that I think people get wrong when they look at me is that, they probably would never guess where I came from. Meaning when I was younger, there were times that, times were tough. I did a podcast earlier this month talking about the whole, living in a travel trailer, a 20-foot travel trailer with my family, as a young child, living in a tent for several months while my parents built our home. So I think that people would look at me based on what they see now and not realize that I've gone through a lot of the struggles that I actually have.
Okay, good one. What's the best gift you've ever received?
Best gift? My wife and my kids are my best gift from God. I mean, I like meeting my wife and being married as long as we have is literally my most cherished anything ever. Like there's nothing that tops that. But when both of my kids were born and they put that baby in my hands, man, that's a great, those are the best gifts. I mean, I'm wearing my favorite shirt, right? Family is everything. And that's that's my greatest gift.
Well, I guess that's all, you're only wearing that shirt because you didn't get the gift that says Matthew Brenner is everything. That's coming in the mail, and then you can wear that from now on.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Tell me your favorite place you've traveled.
Favorite place? We had a lot of fun on our honeymoon in Jamaica, and then we went back on a cruise. I mean, Jamaica was just kind of interesting and unique. So, I'm born and raised here in Ventura County, California, in the United States. Best country in the world, and then you go somewhere that things are just so completely different. I don't know. That's the first place that jumps out of my mind. Had a really fun time kind of exploring Jamaica. So that was fun.
Okay, cool. What's your most treasured childhood memory?
You're just throwing these right at me. You said rapid fire. Like I got to think a little bit.
Because
when you answer, if you answer and then you go back and you watch yourself answer this question, you're like, dude, I could have thought of so many better things than that.
Yeah, that's okay. First thing
most treasured childhood memory. I'm thinking that, honestly, there's a lot of memories in my childhood of martial arts that make me super, super proud. I love martial arts. I mean, I love everything about it. I love everything it does for people. And so getting started in martial arts, it was one of the greatest things. But, leading into that, my mom wanted to put me in other activities. She signed me up for flag football one time, and I literally cried because I didn't want to go to martial arts, I didn't want to go to the flag football tryout or whatever, but I wish she would have pushed me into that because I never know if I would have been good in other sports because I did martial arts. And that's all I really did as a kid. So, but anyway, treasure moment as a child. I mean, really, starting martial arts is what comes to mind.
Cool. All right, easy one. What's your favorite snack?
Anything with peanut butter.
Oh, I'm with you on that. What about you ever do dates stuff with peanut butter?
Do what? Say that again.
Dates? You ever eat dates stuff with
Oh
peanut
yeah.
butter? They
Oh,
throw them in the freezer.
I have never done that, and I love dates. Actually, I eat like dates and nuts are like a snack for me, like daily. But I never even thought of putting peanut
Okay,
butter.
okay. About to change your life. Take some dates, or slice it open. Obviously, buy the what's called Majul, right? Is that the
Okay.
variety? And
Okay.
then it's a certain variety of dates better. Throw out the pit. Don't buy pitted. Buy it with the pit because it's like
Mm-hmm.
juicier. Put peanut butter inside. Fold it back up, and then put it in the freezer. And
Okay.
then wait a couple hours or whatever. And then whenever you want, you just grab one out of the freezer and eat it. It is remarkable. Remarkable combination.
This is
Very
gonna be
high
trouble.
calorie. Very high calorie.
Sorry.
But still, it's an amazing dessert. At least it's all natural. All right. Last one I have for you. What's one job you would not do? So you would never want to do, even if you made $1 billion a month. You just wouldn't do it.
Man, these rapid fire questions are not easy to answer right out of the
I
gate.
know. I know.
A job that I would never ever want to do. I can't even think of something that I the thing is I like trying new things. I will tell you that something that I did that I decided I would never do. Again, I said my dad was in construction, and like he did very well. That's how he supported our family my whole life. But I told myself I would never do that as a career, watching how hard my dad worked his whole life and how much time, it took him away from the house, or sometimes he had to go far away to get work. And so I just, it's one of the reasons that I decided to do martial arts. I'm like, I could do construction, but I don't want to do that.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't think I would want to be a plumber or someone that has to like go and like dig in sewage and stuff like that. Like that would be gross. But I did plenty of that as a kid, unfortunately. So
I bet you
I
wouldn't
tell you
make
what, I gotta go back. I gotta go back on this childhood memory because I'm racking my
Okay.
brain. Okay,
Okay,
I gotta
yeah,
go.
yeah.
I gotta go back. Treasured
back.
childhood memory because this was a catalyst for a lot of what I do in our school and where community service became so important to me. And I'll try to keep the story short, but when I was young, there was a time where we just did not have a lot of money and we needed a lot of help. And my mom took me for a car ride and said, we're going to go grab, some food or groceries or whatever she said. And we pull up to this house. And when we go in this house, she introduced me to this woman, and this woman takes us into her garage. And when she took us in the garage, there was like all this, like, powdered milk, block cheese, cans, the whole bit. And I remember being a recipient of that help, right? And I attribute that to why it was so important to me as a martial arts school that we do fundraisers and we do food collections and we do a lot of things in our community that helps pool all of the families in our school together to help a lot of the families in our community that are in need. So I treasure that memory a lot because it was the one time that stands out in my mind that someone was so giving and someone was so caring to help us. I promised myself that when I had a level of success in my life that I would be able to pay that forward. So I'm going to change my answer, and that's what was really the most treasured memory.
Your first answer's already locked in. This one doesn't count. No, I was kidding. That was great. That's awesome.
Use
Thank
them
you so
both.
much. Use them both. Thank you so much for being on here. If someone wants to reach out to you, how can they find you?
Absolutely. You can find me all over social media, Facebook, Instagram. Look for Jason Flame or Master Motivation Podcast on YouTube. And you can go and check out those 230 plus interviews, which Mr. Matthew Brenner is a guest on one of those shows. I don't remember what number it was. What
I have
what
no idea
episode,
what number
but
it was, but
yeah,
it was definitely
but
the
go
most
check it out.
popular, best one ever. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly,
for sure.
exactly.
So my name is Matthew Brenner. If you have any questions, you can email me, matthew@wyourdojo.com, especially if you want to learn how to grow your martial arts school organically, so not through ads, but through earned work through the community, like schools, daycares, and businesses. We call that the Triangle Codex. So if you want to grow your school sustainably every single year, that's where I come in and help school owners. If you have any questions, you can also find me on Instagram at blackbeltbrenner1. Thanks, guys. Bye.